This lovely dress was donated by a follower and worn by Joanne for her wedding day to Robert on September 16th in 1953 in Los Angeles, California. The dress is fashioned from a rayon satin in kind of a mid to heavy weight and features a lovely neckline with lace and pearl trim that is backed with the horsehair braid and features a unique cascading overskirt, and then it has a tulle front. The skirt has several layers actually, and the back there is with covered buttons and loops, and it's in pretty good condition other than it's really quite yellowed, and there's some discoloration at the hem. So I start by removing all the buttons because they will rust if I leave them on, and I'm just going to do a plain water soak to start. And that will start to get the process going and allow me to work some fels and naphtha onto the hem, which has been really very successful in the past for me to get this kind of surface dirt that happens on the hems of wedding dresses. I take the soft brush and look at that. But you do have to go through the whole hem. So I take a plastic clothespin and mark that so I know that I've made my way around. Now I'm going to do an additional layer or round of soaking with sodium perborate to take care of that yellowing. And I'm doing 1 cup of that, which I'm dissolving in hot water and then putting it in about 120 Fahrenheit water in the bath. And then I do some bubble wrap for insulation and then weight it down with my mesh rack in these containers. And after a couple hours, that water was so yellow, and I just didn't want it to be sitting in that yellowed water the whole time. So I drained that, and then I don't normally do this, but I did a second round, and you can see here it is getting lighter, and then I let that go overnight. So here's the next morning. Going to take a look at it, and it is still an ivory shade, but I'm not concerned with trying to get it to bright white. I'm usually quite fine with a lot of times the dress is being more of a warm or a soft white. So then to take care of getting rid of the sodium perborate, I did some retro wash and then let that soak and then drain that, and then did several rounds of rinsing in the bathtub, and then did some on top with the mesh rack as well. And then let it drip for a while, and then did some towel rolling to get additional moisture out, and I put it outside not till it was completely dry. What I've been finding to be successful, and this went a little too far with getting dry on this part of the skirt, is to do it while it's still damp, to literally iron it dry. So I did that on the back side of the satin in all the areas that I could, and then once that was pressed, I wanted to perk up those buttons. Those are a size 24, which I do not have in replacements for. So then I did a peroxide spray, covered that with baking soda, and then let that dry and brush that off. The donation also included this adorable little ring bear pillow. So I'm going to include that with the listing of the dress. So I just decided to give that a little perk up with the peroxide spray. And then once the front was done, I did the back. And it's amazing how well that works. Like, it just perks it right up. And I just did that one time. And look at that sweet little detail on that pillow. And there's the elastic straps that the little boy would have held on to. The listing also included some stockings that I assume would have been worn with the wedding dress. So I'm going to enclose those as well. So I gave those a quick wash and air dry. So next, on to the headpiece and veil. I guess this was perhaps made with or worked on by an aunt of Joanne's. And there's some lovely beading detail. And it's kind of interesting. See those little black ones in there? I'm wondering if there was some sort of sentimental significance with that, because that'd be rather unusual to have black beads worked in. And they weren't just darkened from time. They literally do look like they were black. But to kind of give this a refresh, the netting is just completely shot. It is not salvageable. So I removed that. And to kind of perk up those pearls, I thought, why not just take a pearl nail polish? And I took an artist brush that was finer than the brush that comes with the nail polish, and just one by one went over them. I'm wanting to do this on a wedding dress that has some darkened pearls on it. So I thought, why not experiment on this? And actually, this was kind of fun to do. I just went around the whole thing. I just did one coat. You could probably, go over it again. It would be even even brighter. But I'm really happy with how that turned out. I think it just perked it up enough so it still has that vintage look, but it's not kind of dirty, so to speak, looking. And I found some tulle at a fabric outlet, a warehouse outlet, that was kind of a dark ivory color, or an ivory shade. And so then I kind of used the old pieces to know kind of how big to make these. And then it did have rounded corners on it. So then I mimicked that with going around a plate on the corners to cut that off. So then you hand stitch onto the wireframe, and there it's so much better. And there is Joanne with the side profile. I love that photo. So after I'm photographing the dress, I put it in different light, and I kind of see these areas of shadowing that you can't see sometimes, and then sometimes you can. And so that was rather disheartening, and I don't know what happened. So if somebody might have some insight to that, I would love to hear. But here is the dress, and she does present beautifully. I think it is just these satin dresses, even though they are kind of tricky to wash, honestly. I'm not comfortable still. Just like jump in and do it. I am nervous each time I do this. And it does take quite a bit of time. But it is really, they do turn out beautiful. And I just think this one is so elegant. And I love that overskirt peplum and the combination of satin and tulle. And it's still a gorgeous dress 72 years later.